Giving me an up-close and personal view. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the JoAnne Powell Show. I am JoAnne. We're coming to you from the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM.TV, Hollywood. Well, there is a heightened sense of security around the world when it comes to terrorism and terrorist attacks. Actually, today in Iran, there was a terrorist attack that at least 12 people were killed in that, and dozens were injured. This follows definitely attacks around the world. In that particular one, ISIS has claimed responsibility. The Iranians are basically accusing the Saudis for being involved with that particular terrorist attack. And yesterday in Paris, a man attacked a police officer with a hammer, and he was shot by police. He is currently suffering from his injuries. He was not killed, and many people are hoping that maybe he can shed some light on what's going on in that particular situation. And also in the UK, London and Manchester are dealing with the ISIS fatal terrorist attacks there. So this is definitely something that's on the minds of those who are in the anti-terrorist world, intelligence, that are trying to combat some of the cells that are in their countries and their nations. That is something that we will be continuing to watch and follow. But joining me now to talk about this is terrorism expert Dr. Kevin Grisham, who is an assistant professor of Research Center for the Study of Hate and Extremism at Cal State University, San Bernardino. Welcome to the show.
Oh, it's nice to see you, JoAnne.
Well, you have a lot of, we've had terrorist strikes happen here or there, but it seems like in the last few weeks we've had an increase of terrorist attacks. What is going on?
Well, we don't know completely, but my best guess as an analyst who's studied this for about 20 years is as we see ISIS starting to lose control, physical territory in Syria and Iraq in particular, they're being pushed back. We've seen an increase of what they're putting out in the way of propaganda on the web, and often that is inspiring. In many cases, we're finding some of these attacks, some of them we think may have been directly connected, but for sure there's definitely been an uptick in sort of what we call lone wolf attacks, and I think that's just because ISIS is trying to remain relevant, okay, and they're also trying to sort of shift to the sphere of the web to try to gain more control of their pending demisal, hopefully.
Well, that's something that a lot of people are concerned, because they are getting a lot of their recruits through social media, which has some wanting to use social media to kind of combat that, specifically within the Muslim world, using the faith, in a sense, to shame people into not participating in these type of acts.
No, absolutely. I mean, as we know, not just in the web, but also just recently, numerous imams actually in the United Kingdom have openly come out, and it's been reported in BBC and other news outlets overseas that they have refused to bury actually these attackers from Manchester in particular, and also London, because they don't represent the 1/5 of mankind who are Muslims. And so this is one stand that Muslims are starting to take. They've been taking these stands for many years, but it's just becoming much more public, I think, and in the media.
And there also is kind of a shift to, like you were saying, the lone wolf, and we're actually seeing women involved with terrorism now, when you didn't see that before.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we know that women have always, for many millennia, they've played roles as violent perpetrators of what we would now call terrorism. But definitely ISIS, Al-Qaeda to a lesser degree, and groups like them have now started to shift to try to use women. And I think a big part of that is because we don't typically see women as potential attackers. We see them as targets, and so they can often get past security and often do a lot of damage, as we've seen, of course, today in Iran.
Do you know how people will react to that? Because I know a lot of times, like you were mentioning, they don't look as suspicious. And are they just trying to shift and keep people off balance, or is this kind of a new direction, possibly?
Well, I think it's, I don't think it's necessarily, it's probably a little bit of both. They're probably trying to shift people so they never know where the target's coming from. The thing we know about terrorists, no matter if we're talking about ISIS, if we go back further to other groups through the decades, that at the very core of it, they're trying to create a sense of panic and fear. And so if you never know the person next to you might be a potential attacker, it really does throw community into havoc. And I think that's part of what they're doing. And also it's a good way to get around actual people who are actually trying to counter this. A good example is there's probably about between 8 to 10 scholars in the world that study women as terrorists. So that tells you how sort of disproportionately, even within our own discipline, that people just don't see women basically as sort of attackers.
True. That is something that you don't anticipate, or children. And I know when U.S. troops were over in that region, when they encountered that, it was kind of difficult for a lot of the soldiers to kind of like rethink, when they look at children and different people, because they would actually plant bombs in them.
No, absolutely. And it makes it really tough when you're trying to counter this, one, because you don't know where it's coming from, and two, we do know that we've found that it's much easier to take down targets that are male. We should be reminded, though, that still the majority of attackers are male. Just recently, Georgetown University's program on extremism did a study on actual individuals who had been arrested and are being detained or convicted of ISIS-related things here in the United States, and 89% of those actually that were detained were males. So it still tends to be more males, tends to be younger, between the ages of 18 to 25, but we're finding more and more people, as we've just seen in Europe in the last month or two.
And also you're finding that there are these terrorist cells that are homegrown, that they're not coming in from other countries. They actually are, citizens of the countries that are being involved in a lot of these attacks.
No, absolutely. I mean, in that same good example is in that same study, those that have not committed attacks, but those that have actually been arrested and detained or convicted in the U.S., the overwhelming majority, by the way, have been U.S.-born citizens. And we actually have found that in the UK and also in Belgium, that many of these are people who either were born and raised there, they may be first or second generation immigrants. But these are not people coming from the outside. So mostly where they're getting their ideas is from the web. It's very easy to open up in Google and look and find a wide range of training materials. And more importantly, the ideology has just spread through social media so rapidly.
What do you think is the pull? I mean, the draw. You have these people who could be like second, third generation in the country that they're in. What turns them against the nation that they're in?
Well, I think what we're finding is, at least from, because we don't really fully know, because most of the attackers are killed during the attacks, or as we saw in the case of most recently the suicide bomber in Manchester. So we'll never fully know, but I think that there's some reliability to those that have been stopped, that very often they tend to be people who see themselves as sort of on the margins of society. Now, that doesn't mean they are necessarily, but it's all about perception. If they see that they've been downtrodden, if they're having other issues, it's very easy then for these recruiters who are online to come in and sort of troll and look for people who are just looking for something to hold on to. And so that's very dangerous, because there's obviously there are people out there like that, and that's something that we do have to contend with.
Definitely. Well, this is a conversation that we will continue to have. We've run out of time, unfortunately, for this show. We will definitely have to have you come back. Hopefully you'll come back and join us again.
Yes, thank you, JoAnne.
Okay, thank you so much. We will be right back. You're watching the JoAnne Powell Show.
If you are an adult that began college and has not finished your college degree, let me put it to you straight. If your lifestyle and your standard of living is not becoming to you, then you should be coming to us, Oakwood University Elite Program. We are the fast, flexible adult degree completion program for the busy adult, like you.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098. It's time to leap.
I'm JoAnne with the JoAnne Powell Show. You're watching the World Center of Broadcast Media, WCOBM Hollywood.
Thanks to Oakwood University and the LEAP program, I have now a college degree. So to the Spanish-speaking members of this community who feel that the LEAP program is something you should consider, I would say, ánimo a la universidad. Considere el programa LEAP. de Oakwood University.
Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.
Seize the day scuba for your best scuba experience above and below the sea. You'll find friendly staff, experienced PADI certified instructors, and state-of-the-art scuba equipment and gear. Join our dive club and we'll help you plan memorable scuba excursions. Immerse yourself. Seize the day scuba, serving Southern California. Call 949-220-0500 to create your scuba experience.
When I first started into the program, yes, I had doubts. I was really impressed with Oakwood University, with the faculty and the staff and the student body. It was a really good experience, and I would definitely recommend it to anyone who was thinking about going back and finishing their degree.
Register today. Go to oakwoodleap.com or call 256-726-7098.